Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Steph from the Hot Moving Podcast. And CJ Stroud, the Houston Texans rookie quarterback phenom, is absolutely killing it. And the conversation for him winning MVP is slowly starting to build, and he is making a strong case for consideration for the award, right? A rookie hasn't won it in over, 60 years since Jim Brown in, 1957 or something like that. So, the kid is doing his thing, man. And, of course, on Undisputed today, Skip Bayless is going to compare him to Bryce Young. When Skip Bayless picks a guy, he's going to stick to it. Before the draft last year, everybody was like, all the top, Nate draft people were like, Bryce Young number one, Bryce Young number one. Me personally, I never saw that just because I saw, from my eyes, I don't care what the stats say. He dominated that game against Georgia in that college football semis, right? That was the de facto national championship game because Georgia went on to wax TCU. That was all I need to say. I know Ohio State quarterbacks get a bad flap, not performing in the NFL. It seems like CJ Stroud has broken that mold, but Skip has to continue to defend Bryce Young. On Undisputed today, he goes on to say that CJ Stroud got better weapons than Bryce Young, and I'm scratching my head like, what? I'm going to play a clip, and I'm going to get back to you guys in a minute.
Saw this. I thought Bryce Young would be a little, but only a little better than CJ. So I went with Bryce Young as the first overall pick, and I'm going to stand by that because I still say he's going to have a very good NFL career. He does not have quite the weapons that even CJ has right now in Houston, and he definitely does not have the offensive line that CJ has in Houston. And for sure, he doesn't have Singletary running for 150 yards in Carolina, because that was a big thing yesterday to run for 150 on that Cincinnati defense. It's pretty good.
So you heard what Skip had to say. Bryce Young has no weapons compared to CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud has the better weapons. I think Skip is a little off on this, right? And I think most of you guys who follow the game will probably agree. Now, look, we're going to look at these stats, okay? Or at least look at the roster. Now, running back, Singletary. Yes, Singletary has been a beast this year. I will say that, okay? Singletary has been pretty good. Let's look at his history. Okay, solid career in Buffalo, right? Okay, never broke 1,000 yards this year. But hey, he can go off in times, and you see that in Houston. Now, I'm not gonna say he's one of the elite backs, but he's okay, right? Okay, now let's go to Bryce Young's team. Who is his running back? Who do we have here? Ooh, he has Miles Sanders. Okay, yeah. We know Miles Sanders from the Philadelphia Eagles from last season. Okay, let's look at this. Absolute beast last season. Rushed for nearly 1,300 yards, 1,269 yards rushing. This season so far, not so good. 224 yards. Most people would think prior to the season that Miles Sanders was the better running back. Okay. Now we can look at Houston and their wide receiving. Okay, Noah Brown. Listen, Noah Brown is not a household name, but he's been balling this year, okay? But I mean, look, only 439 yards, right? Okay, so still, he's decent. He's okay. Okay, he came from the Dallas Cowboys, right? Last year was his best year of his career for only 555 yards. I'm not going to call that elite. That's decent for a wide receiver, okay? But usually receivers are in that 9 to 1,200 a year yards per a year, or getting those type of yards. That's like an elite, upper echelon type of wide receiver, okay? So people aren't going to sit there and act like Noah Brown is some Pro Bowler all of a sudden, okay? And now we look at Carolina's receiving corps. For receiving, okay. Look, they got Adam Thielen, okay? Adam Thielen is older in age, okay, but he's the most decorated receiver between the two teams, right? And he has 652 yards on the year, so he's doing pretty well, actually. So who is that? Who is the Thielen for the Houston Texans, right? Dalton Schultz is doing pretty well, but I mean, nowhere near Thielen. Jesus. And let's look at him. He played for Dallas Cowboys. Again, a decent, as a tight end, decent season. 577 yards. Okay, not considered an elite tight end. All right, but he's okay, though. Now let's go back and let's see who else. Robert Woods. He hasn't really been good this year. Okay, I mean, he's been all right, but, nobody's going to look at Robert Woods as an elite talent. Okay, so as you can see, though, man, like, the talent is there's not a big talent gap discrepancy between the two teams and what CJ Stroud has and what Bryce Young has. Okay, now we can look at the coaching. Okay, listen, Skip wanted to blame the poor offensive line, right? Well, is it really a poor offensive line, or is it really bad coaching, right? Is it really a bad scheme design, blocking design from head coach Frank Wright, who is also the play caller in Carolina? Remember, he flamed out in Indianapolis, was not really good. Okay, comes to Carolina, not really good, right? He didn't take a year off between jobs, straight to Carolina, right? And the team is doing bad once again. Okay, Houston has a new offensive coordinator, first year for them, and Bobby Slowick, right? 36 years old, and the team is looking good. So Skip is way off on saying that, Bryce Young doesn't have the talent and the O-line. There's bad O-lines all around the league. A lot of teams get away with bad O-lines with the quarterback, get the ball out quicker, screen passes, implement a running game a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? You got Miles Sanders in Carolina, so poor coaching. Again, when Skip likes a guy, he gets delusional and no accountability is taken on the organization and the coaching around him. He's just like, oh, they have a bad O-line. He doesn't have the weapons. Okay, you act like CJ Stroud came into a tailor-made situation with a new offensive coordinator and a new rookie head coach, right? And still putting up these numbers and winning games and playing against elite competition. Crazy. Skip is gonna ride on this Bryce Young horse until he dies. Until Bryce Young proves him right, which I think is going to be very, very tough in Carolina. Bryce Young will unfortunately become a bust, not because he's not talented. It's just because, well, no, actually, I take that back. CJ Stroud is making these guys names, right? Everybody's starting to know Noah Brown's name. So if Bryce Young is that dude, if he's that force multiplier, I don't want to hear it, because let me tell you something. I think if CJ Stroud was in Carolina, I think it'd be a lot different, right? So just my quick take. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Let me know what y'all think about the whole, Bryce Young doesn't have any weapons compared to CJ Stroud, man. Crazy take from Skip Bayless, but totally disagree. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe. I'm out.